You guys know I've watched some pretty bad stand-up comedy, but this was something else. This special was legitimately so bad that I had to watch it in 2 parts, and I sat through Amy Schumer's entire discography. You'd Be Surprised is so bad, it makes the Leather special look like jammin' in New York. Watching this special changed me. I felt physically drained afterward, and my mind was left in a state of disorientation that I can only imagine Brendan Schaub experiences on a daily basis. There are moments in life where you witness something so embarrassing and inept that you have to ask yourself, how did this happen? Why didn't anyone intervene? Now, some of Pudding Head's fans will make the excuse that he isn't that bad for somebody who has only been doing stand-up for 4 years. First of all, they're probably fans of Joe Rogan and Bert Kreischer too, so their taste in comedy is terrible and their opinions are invalid. More importantly, Schaub is bad even for somebody who has only been doing stand-up for 4 years, especially for somebody who is friends with tons of veteran comedians and supposedly has a beast of a work ethic. If this special was a little rougher on the edges, I could give Brendan a pass. If he just needed a little polish, I could say that he was pushed into a special early and he might be better with time and practice. The truth is, this special feels more like somebody's first attempt at writing a set than the culmination of 4 years of experience. By now, I would expect Schaub to have some grasp of editing, but every bit is 2 or 3 times longer than it has any right to be. So they drag on and on. I went into You'd Be Surprised expecting it to be so bad it would be good, but it just turned out to be incredibly boring. That is the hardest thing to express about this special, because I can't just let a 7-minute long meandering story play out for you. Don't get me wrong, even if Schaub tightened up some of these stories, they still would have sucked, but they wouldn't be actively frustrating. This issue is made even worse by another big problem. Schaub has no understanding of how to structure a joke. Most of the jokes on this special had no lead-in or segue.
It's my first comedy special, man, so it's a big week. And I get my hair cut every Tuesday because I'm an asshole.
Sometimes jokes blur together incoherently. On other occasions, one joke will end abruptly and Brendan will awkwardly start another one without any context or connection.
Got an Asian barber named Jamal now, so we'll see how that goes. Keep you guys posted. Yeah, it's not good, man. I know I dress like an asshole, guys. I know this.
This gives the special the feeling of being one big CTE-induced stream of consciousness rant. To be fair, it was probably the best option available for Brendan to base his act around telling stories peppered with humorous quips and occasional punchlines. The problem is that his delivery sucks.
I see a convertible Mini Cooper. Listen, man, where I live, West Hollywood, convertible Mini Cooper is actually pretty cool. No one bats an eye to them.
And his metaphors are terrible.
We're thick like peanut butter. I don't know why. My mouth was so dry like a parrot's tongue. It was so fucking dry. I was like, he's been in so many tanning beds. His skin looks like Sacagawea's purse spread over a carcass now.
So virtually none of his punchlines land. He compensates with exaggerated facial expressions and body movements he must have learned from Professor Emeritus James Twitchy Worm Piece of Shit Norton. The jokes themselves are the most stereotypical hack garbage you can imagine. Like Texas having a lot of rednecks who listen to Christian music.
I don't know if you know this about Texas, but their gas station, that's their clubs during the middle of the day. That's where all the good old boys hang out, and it is a scene. They're out there, their truck's freshly washed, they're proud as shit standing in front of it like this. There's grills, full rack of ribs, like it's a scene, man. And they do not like outsiders. They do not like outsiders.
Or getting a bad haircut.
After about 30 minutes, he turns around, I see myself in that mirror, I'm like, oh wow, not what I asked for. In any facet, I did not ask for this. He turned me around, I just went, oh shit, bro! That shit is tight, man. That shit is tight.
Oh, but the barber was an Asian guy named Jamal.
Then finally, after 10 minutes, this dude comes out of the bathroom, he's all, what's up, man? I'm Jamal. He was Asian as shit. Dicey. Whoa.
The Asian jokes on this special are really weird to me. He has a hacky Asians are good at math line, of course.
Feel way better about this if I needed help with math or some shit, you know? I was just like...
But then there is this segment where he talks about the Chinese UFC doctor who patched him up after the Travis Brown fight.
This giant Asian doctor walks up to me and goes, Mr. Schaub, I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you, that makes me feel better. Thank you for that. He goes, but your lip.
My name is Dr. Greg Hsu. I'm a board-certified ophthalmologist.
I'm the UFC consultant physician. I take care of all the fighters as well as employees within the UFC family.
He takes out the biggest syringe you've ever seen in your life, like he's out of a goddamn comic book, goes, Mr. Schaub, after you numb your lip, you need many, many stitches. This be worst pain in your life, guaranteed. Worst pain in your life.
What I enjoy the most is really seeing the rapport that I have with the fighters.
I've got to know them so well that they just know me now, and they just know me as the doc.
Didn't that send a chill down your spine? It may be the cringiest thing I've ever witnessed, and I'm still trying to figure out why he thought it was a good idea. Is he so inconsiderate that he gave a real person a stereotypical Asian accent just to make his bit funnier? Or did Travis Brown hit him so hard it altered his memory? I'm leaning to the first option because Schaub lies his ass off in the special. There's this one really awful bit where Schaub talks about watching the Hulk Hogan sex tape.
Yeah, it's been a weird week with the haircut, my papa being here. And then probably the weirdest thing that happened to me is I watched one of my idol sex tape. Yeah, I watched Hulk Hogan sex tape. I remember Hulk Hogan in the 90s? That freaking dime piece of a man, the early 90s? Like he was chiseled out of freaking marble. And I started arguing with myself. I go, bro, you owe it to Hulk Hogan to jack off to a sex tape. Flip, it's my son, Nick. What's up, brother? I'm like, oh shit! What's up, brother? Yes!
He has to let everyone know that Hulk Hogan was his idol, but thinks Hogan had a full head of hair in the 90s and thought his catchphrase was eat your vegetables and don't do drugs.
Because of Hulk Hogan, I never did drugs until my goddamn mid-30s. Ever. If you're a Hulk Hogan fan, he always said, eat your vegetables, say no to drugs, brother. I'm like, fucking right, Hulk. Say no to drugs, man.
This is one of the only segues in the special, which he uses to start a bit about the time he ate a gummy Death Star on the Fight Companion podcast with Rogan, Joey Diaz, and Eddie Bravo. Brendan claimed that he didn't say a word for 3 hours, but it's such an easy thing to prove wrong that I don't know why he would choose to lie about it. Things only get worse from here. The whole second half of the special is basically just Brendan Schaub lying about his retirement from MMA and his transition to comedy and podcasting. He starts the story by saying that as a kid, his heroes were actually all comedians. Adam Sandler, Robin Williams, and Jim Carrey.
I'd run around my dinner table in my schoolyard going, alrighty then.
The line you'd recognize from Ace Ventura even if you've never seen the movie. Hey guys, did you know I'm a huge film buff? Rosebud. Unfortunately, Brendan's dad pushed him to be a football player. Until 1993, when Brendan was 10 years old and he was watching Ace Ventura at a family reunion. Brendan's dad turned off Ace Ventura and put in a VHS tape of UFC 1 and then told Brendan that his new dream in life was to become a UFC heavyweight champion.
This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna become the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Forget your stand-up guys, forget football. This is how you're gonna make a name for our family. This is your dream.
There are a lot of problems with this story. 1. Ace Ventura didn't even come out until 1994. 2. UFC 1 wasn't released on VHS until 1998. It's possible that Schaub's dad got a bootleg copy somebody recorded, but that begs even more questions. His dad sees this new, barely legal sport of human cockfighting and decides, on the spot, that this will be his son's future, instead of, say, the well-established sport of boxing, where a heavyweight fighter can earn millions of dollars. Brendan then claimed that his dad made him forget about football to train wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and boxing while he was still in school, which doesn't really jive very well with the fact that Brendan played football through high school and college, and even made an NFL practice team. Where this shit really goes off the rails is when Brendan starts talking about his fight with Travis Brown. There are so many lies that it's hard to keep up with. He says the fight took place at the MGM Grand. He says a crowd of 17,000 people were chanting his name. the attendance for the event was less than 10,000, and they weren't chanting his name. He supposedly noticed pomade in his hair before the fight, but Brendan clearly has a buzz cut. And so on. The biggest lie is in the way he presents the fight like something out of a movie.
My name's on the freaking marquee at the MGM Grand. Before me, it was Conor McGregor, Brock Lesnar, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson. Now it's my turn.
He acts like he was on the cusp of winning the heavyweight title and achieving the dream his father forced upon him at the age of 10. In reality, Brendan had a 10-4 record at the time, was ranked, I believe, number 13 in the division, and his previous fight was a decision with Andrei Arlovski that was so bad that nobody cared if the judges made the wrong call and gave Arlovski the win. Even if Schaub somehow came out on top against Brown, it's pretty doubtful that he would have been given a title shot. But we all know what actually happened. There are a few dozen more lies that I have to brush over, but either way, Brendan says that after the fight, Brian Callen met him in the locker room, and they started working on a plan for him to pursue a career in comedy and never get punched in the face again. This obviously neglects the episode where Joe tried to convince Brendan that he is not an elite fighter and should quit fighting before he takes any more damage.
If you had a wrestling match with Cain Velasquez, how well do you think you'd do?
Straight up wrestling?
Yeah.
I think people would be surprised.
Really? You think so?
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd be surprised. I really do. I think he'd fuck you up.
This was the conversation from which the special takes its name, so it's an insanely glaring omission. Also, after he got the talking to from Rogan, Brendan still kept looking for a fight for nearly a year. He was even going to attempt a move to light heavyweight before the UFC introduced the Reebok deal, which was the real reason he retired from MMA. Again, this is all so easily fact-checkable that it makes no sense to lie about it. It just seems like a really sad attempt to make his retirement from MMA look more like the end of a movie. A man who was pushed down the wrong path by his father. He climbed the mountain and nearly touched greatness before being cast down again. When he was at his lowest point, his friends picked him up and helped him follow his true childhood dream. But the story is filled with incredibly unfunny gay jokes, and being told by someone who has suffered so many concussions that his ethnicity is now legally potato. This special was actually so poorly received that Brendan's CBD oil sponsor, Pure Spectrum, sent out an email offering a 50% coupon to anyone who left the kind of review Brendan deserves. Even with the bribery, You'd Be Surprised only has 3 out of 10 stars on IMDb. Having watched the entire thing, I can say that is still 3 stars too many. It is, no joke, the worst special I've ever seen. 0 out of 10 stars, and may it be his last. As always, I want to thank you for watching the video, as well as liking, commenting, and subscribing. I was going to talk about this special in an upcoming video I'm making about Brendan Schaub and his fans turning against him, but it was just so bad that I had to make a standalone video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you'll watch my Brendan Schaub video when it comes out. If you want to support my channel, check out the links in the description, and I'd also like to give a special shout out to my supporters on Patreon. Thank you, Alistair Kane, Wrestling Soup, Bone CK, Weston Jordan, Yuko, Kevin Howard, Danny, and Jackie.